Good morning and welcome to today's mailbag edition of the Traders Mind Chat Show. Morning coffee with Mike. Trying to figure out a new name for the show. We keep on going back and forth. Still have the coffee. Anyhow, welcome everybody that's logging in now. We got a lot of questions that came in yesterday or earlier in the week. We had surveyed people on Instagram, people on Twitter, people across social media for questions for today, various topics. And here is some of what we got. Let's pull up this chat here. All right, so here's what we got. We got some very interesting questions that came in. These ones here are from Twitter. And so I'd like to go through the answers that I have for these questions with you. First question has to do with, is this move for real? Move that we've been seeing in stocks. Move that just rallied off the bottom there. This is from Jim Gould over on Twitter. Is this move for real? Sorting the imposters from the possible leaders, blocking the noise, and believing what you see. Have a couple of responses to this particular question. So, how can you tell if the move is quote unquote real? The way that I like to tell if a move in the market is for real or not is by doing the following. The first is to have a mechanism to gauge the general market. So, how we gauge the general market can fall into a few different camps. I like to look at the major indexes. You might like to look at something else. Whatever it is, you need to have a mechanism to gauge the general market. The next thing is to have a mechanism to gauge the performance of your particular system or edge as a whole. So, for me, if I am screening the market for certain stocks, I want to monitor how those stocks perform. I want to see how the market is going to treat those stocks. If the market is treating the stocks that I'm interested in very well by breaking out and making nice gains, then that's something that's going to tell me that the market is favoring my system. If it's choppy or if it's very selective, like it has been, then that's going to give me feedback into the market as well. Finally, have a mechanism to gauge your personal performance. A lot of people just take a look at their P&L and that's it. You need more insights than that. You need to see how far are the trades that you're in, how far are they going. You need to see if they are running farther than average. Take a look at your last 10 trades. See how far your last 10 trades moved. If your last 10 trades are making significant gains, that's giving you great insight into the current market environment. If your last several trades, let's say your last 10 trades have only moved half of what they would normally do, then that's also giving you great insight into the market. And so that's why when I'm looking at telling if a move is real or not, I'm looking at it through the lens of this Venn diagram here. I take a look at the general market, the system, personal performance, and at the center of that is how I define the market's mood. And I break it down into a color code of red, yellow, and green. Basically, if it's red, that doesn't mean that I'm staying out of the market completely. What it means is that I'm stepping on the brakes. I'm not going heavy on new positions. I'm taking my gains a bit quicker versus, say, a green condition. That's where things are working extremely well. The market is in a strong trend. The stocks that I'm looking at are plentiful. They're high quality setups. They're moving in the direction that I want them to move in. And my personal performance is steadily rising. That's how I am defining market mood. And in fact, just to give you a little insight into how this might look on a chart, let me bring in this right here, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment. Stop the screen share and share a different screen. So I'm going to be sharing now TradingView. Here is a look at TradingView and that color code. So I like to overlay that color code that we saw on the prior slide into TradingView. And this shows exactly when I'm seeing it as red or yellow or green. Now, you notice that at key turning points, it's shifted from red to yellow to green. And when the market has shifted into these quote unquote red conditions, that's when things have turned very steeply towards the downside or have gotten very choppy. It's not a coincidence and it's not a market call and it's not listening to the news or waiting for somebody else's analysis for any of this stuff. The way that I find that it's best to interpret the market is not by waiting for anybody else. The way that I like to do it is by allowing the market to do the talking, by interpreting what's on the charts. Bring this back up again. By interpreting what the market is telling me based on the charts here, what are the charts on the other major indexes, what it's looking like across time frames, the stocks that I'm interested in, what those look like. And ultimately, getting back, and I'll stop the screen share for a moment again and bring back the slide deck. Eventually getting back to this here, right? Because this is what's really going to interpret the market mood. How's the general market performing? How are the stocks that you're interested performing? And how is your personal performance? Those things will help you figure out, should you be betting heavy? Should you be betting light? When should you be scaling out of positions? Next, there was a question about how to deal with information overload. If we go back and we look at Craig's question here, dealing with too much noise, too many opinions, not enough people trusting themselves, overload of information. How do you deal with all of that? Here's how I deal with information overload. Start by asking qualifying questions. What information is needed for your system or edge? For my system, we just saw what was needed. I'm looking at the charts of the indexes. I'm looking across time frames. I'm looking at certain stocks. I'm looking at how those stocks are performing. I'm looking at my own performance. I'm not relying on the news. I'm not relying on other people's analysis or anything else. So for me, all that other stuff becomes noise. And therefore, I shouldn't be looking at it, at least not in relation to making trading decisions. So that right there is one way to deal with information overload. You start to ask yourself clarifying questions. And when you do, and you're able to see, this is what I should be looking at, this is what I should not be looking at, then you're able to separate out the noise and focus on what is really important. Brings us to that second point. Anything falling outside what is needed is noise. And even number 3 here, understand that the news, social media, opinions of all sorts are intended to influence. Everything is intended to influence. Me talking to you right here is intended to influence, right? I'm sharing my opinions. I'm sharing my thoughts. I'm sharing what has worked for me through the years, and also willing to tell you as well. And what I've shared in my books is what has not worked and what has uh, been major potholes and how I've climbed out of said potholes. So, what you need to ask yourself is whoever is influencing you, do they have your interests in mind? What are your interests? Works for markets, it works for the news of the day. I've been seeing so much happening around the world. Who is trying to influence us in what ways? And we need to come to our own conclusions of who has our interests in mind. Next, there were lots and lots and lots of questions that came in from Instagram. I'm sharing a few of them right here, and they can really all be boiled down into how do you have patience? How do you have consistency? How do you have discipline? How do you have these things? Each of these are virtues. So, how do you obtain virtues like these, like patience, consistency, discipline? These are things that tend to bleed into other areas of our life. So, if we are disciplined in one area, if we have patience in one area, if we're consistent in one area, it starts to make things easier in other areas. It's one of the reasons why I often share my morning routines and what I'm doing and why, and I'll share with you why I'm doing these different morning routines. So typically, I'll wake up at 4:30. I will uh, hydrate, right? So I'll drink water. I'll drink athletic greens. It's this powder, green powder that has a bunch of vegetables in it. Anyway, I like it, and uh, almost like a multivitamin. Anyhow, after that, I will pray. Then I will go to the gym, do various exercises, come home, do yoga. Then I will shower and pray some more. And the prayers are meditations as well. So it's not just reciting prayers. I'm Catholic, so I'm reciting the Our Father, I'm reciting the Hail Mary, I'm reciting the Glory Be. I'm doing these and I'm doing them with intention to allow the words to sink in. And then I'll meditate on the words and I'll use it to help guide my focus for the day and help to center myself. So, in doing routines and doing this and doing it consistently, it's it it helps to really like give consistency in other areas like trading, right? So if I'm doing all this stuff consistently, this morning routine, then it helps to make other things that I'm doing throughout the day a little bit more consistent, a little bit more focused. If I have resets throughout the day, right? So one of the things that I actually like quite a bit, I have a number of friends that are Islamic, that are Muslim, and I know so much of what's going on in the world right now. It's truly insane. But well, one of the things that I actually liked about Islam and what my friends practice is praying 5 times a day at said times in a specific way, and I like the routine of that, and I like the refocusing on God, and it's something else that can help reset throughout the day and help with discipline too. So that's something that I'm incorporating into my life more as a Catholic. I think that if it's I don't think that you need to be of a certain religion to pray multiple times a day. I think that we're able to look at what's good. We're able to look at what's good. Well, what works in other areas, what works in other disciplines, what works in other trading styles, right? To bring it back to trading, and we can incorporate those things for ourselves. That's what's worked for me so well in trading. When I finally found a strategy that worked out, what worked for me was learning the Cancela methodology from William O'Neill. That provided a great foundation, but I wanted to start incorporating some other ideas to enhance how I would perform. I started to learn from guys like Mark Minervini, from Nicholas Darvis, from Mark Douglas, from a variety of other people. And I started to take what was working in this area, what's working in that area, incorporating it for me and my trading. And then that was part of what allowed me to perform better and to improve. Van Tharp is another great name to study. So the point is that we want to study what's out there, see what works, see what's going to work for us. Ask those questions. Ask the qualifying questions of that. Well, what's the intent here? And then figure out for ourselves what's going to work best. Then finally, there's this last email that had come in, and then after that, we'll open it up to questions from the audience. So get your questions ready, and if you have questions and comments and feedback, just type it into the chat now as we're going here. This is an email that I got from someone just this week who was saying that, "Hi there, I hope you're doing well. I'm in serious financial situation shortly. I started trading in 2020. I thought I learned as much as possible to start the business. I'm assuming trading business. Started borrowing money from people for some monthly interest. That's the first mistake right there, right? So I want to read this email. We'll highlight some mistakes and then provide some advice. So the first thing for everybody watching, and if this person's watching, hopefully this helps you. So the first bit here about borrowing money from other people, right, right in there. If you're starting out in trading, you don't want to borrow money from anyone. You want to start out with, if you are going to start trading live capital, start with your own money. Don't start with prop firm money, and don't borrow money from relatives to start trading. Use your own capital. You'll have a much better appreciation for that capital, number one. Also, it's actually better to start out small. Prove that you can take a small amount and grow that before you start throwing lots of capital in. So, how do you get your initial amount? You work and you save. That's what that's a great way to do it. That's how I did it. When I first started, my first account was started in 1999, and I started with $5,000. That's it. I had saved that money, working part time, squirreled it away, and that's what I wanted to do. And I blew up my first account. Right, so 5 grand blown up, a lot better than 100,000 blown up. Let's keep going here. Shortly market thought me that I'm so a beginner to start a huge business like that, and I lose about 100,000. So it's not the market that thought you were a beginner. It's approaching the market in an inappropriate way. And that way is, it's almost like, if you wanted to be a doctor, if you wanted to be a lawyer, if you wanted to be an engineer of any kind, you would immediately have an understanding that it's going to take some time to master these things, that there's going to be formal schooling involved, that there's going to be formal training involved, that you're going to need mentorship, guides, all these kinds of things. In trading, there's so many people that are just trying to get rich quick, and people that are trying to make money off of unsuspecting people, that it's easy to fall into traps of thinking that this game is easy. This game is not easy. It took me a decade to finally start to turn the corner, and it wasn't until I finally had some real people that knew what they were doing. They were able to act as guides that I started to make some progress. And then after that, it wasn't until 2018 that I finally had saved up enough money to leave the day job behind and start doing this. So it's going to take time. It's going to take time to learn. It's going to take time to compound. You can't rush these things as much as you would like to. As much as I would love to tell you that, hey, yeah, you could go and build your fortune real quick in trading. You can build a fortune, but it's going to take time. Just like if you wanted to plant a tree, an apple tree, and eat some apples, you can't just plant the seed and then expect to have a fully grown apple tree in a year. Right? It's going to take some time for that tree to grow and then to start producing the fruits and then to maintain all that. That's what trading is like. Let's continue a bit more. Yeah, I didn't. Story belongs about 3 years ago. Didn't quit. Started learning, practicing more. Passed the prop firm account. Yeah, we spoke about the prop firm account. Then doubled down, selling this car. I love the perseverance, but it's sad that it's misplaced. Did a few more withdrawals to pay for about 17 grand worth of debt. Pressure got harder and harder. Lost that account. Now totally broke. Don't have money to start a business and don't have time. That's the main thing. No time to push myself through this disaster. Please, if you're willing to help, contact me. So this is uh, if the way to get out of this, right? It's going to be to start small. It's going to be to hit the brakes, right? Uh, so to climb out of a hole like this, the first thing that we need to do is hit the brakes, stop trading, right? It sounds like you might already be there. So after that, what you would want to do is to say, if you're going to get back into trading, start saving. Hey, you need to be working. You need to be working uh, your job and take some of that money, put it away. Just start squirreling little bits and pieces of money away and start from there. As you're doing that, you can start to learn about the real skills that it takes to trade and trade well and trade successfully, as well as the amount of time that it's going to take for these things. One of the reasons why I wrote the book that I wrote, The Trading Mind Wheel, is to give insights not just into how to trade well and trade successfully, but into what it actually takes. I talk about mindset. Mindset is an important one. Mindset is a lot more than just our emotions and how we feel. It goes into our belief systems about trading, about money, about ourselves. It goes into having our beliefs aligned. That includes if we have certain ideas about what trading is and how quickly we can scale up and all those sorts of things. If that's out of whack, then we're going to run into all sorts of problems. Goes into the mindset component. It also goes into things like journaling, statistics, post analysis, how to test our systems, make sure that they're viable. Most of these things are not sexy topics. Most of these things are not going to get this video probably a lot of views, but these are the things that you absolutely need in order to trade well, trade successfully, and trade on your own. My first recommendation then, again, take some money, start saving. See, whatever you're able to do from your paycheck, start saving a little bit. Put that money aside. Pay off your debts. That's going to be important too. But save some money. Put that money aside for trading. And as you're doing that, and as you're working your job, start to study. You could grab a copy of my book, The Trading Mind Wheel. It's on Amazon. You could get it on Kindle. You could even get it as an audiobook. Listen to it. The stories in there are great. It'll give you insights into how to climb out of this, how what skills you're going to need to trade well and to trade successfully. And then from there, you could really decide if this is for you or not, because it's going to be challenging. There's going to be a lot of work involved. You're already 3 years in. Took me 10 years to finally get successful. Hopefully, the trading mind wheel can be a shortcut for you. I would encourage you to continue to reach out to me as you have questions, certainly. I'm going to continue to do live streams like this. I'm going to continue to post on social media and answer questions, answer things on email. And also, when you get to a point, or anybody else that's already a few steps ahead of where this person is, we also have other services. I share my research. We have Mara University, which has loads of lessons on everything that we've touched on so far: position sizing, trade management, analysis, mindset, journaling, all these things. All that's in there. We've got a community. Uh, all that stuff is on marawealth.com, and you can go there and learn a lot more about it. So that is it for now. Those are the questions that came in. Let's see what other questions that you guys have live here. Just going to scroll through Instagram a bit, see what questions came in. You guys over there on Rumble, I've got Rumble over here on my laptop. You guys over here on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, type in what questions you guys have. Glad to answer some of them for you. This is a question: how do you try to get back from setbacks and positive in hard times? Part of it is understanding your system, understanding uh, what is to be expected. So I have periods of drawdown. I have periods of losing streaks, just like everyone else. Part of the understanding what's normal versus what's abnormal for your system. So when I go back through my stats, uh, I know that I tend to be about a 50-50 hitter, right? So half my trades are wins, half my trades are losses. How do I make money doing that? My wins are bigger than my losses. It's simple as that. My wins are about 2.5 times the size of my losses on average. So if I'm only winning half the time and I have, say, 100 trades, I should expect to have a losing streak of about 8 in there somewhere, right? Sometimes it'll be you have a couple of wins and you have a couple of losses, you have a couple of wins, you have a couple of losses, but then all of a sudden you'll have a streak. Maybe you have a winning streak and you think, "Oh wow, I finally made it. I've turned the corner. Everything's rosy." I used to fall into that trap too, and guess what? I would start to scale up at exactly the wrong time, give it all back, and then some. Same thing on the losing side. I would have an 8 trade losing streak, and then I would start to think, "Oh man, something must be wrong." I just keep on making these blunders, and what's a blunder? Because I picked a trade and it went down. So if by understanding what's a normal versus what's an abnormal losing streak, we could start to understand uh, if we should be concerned by the streak. And we always want to do a post analysis. That's actually a good spot to segue. So post analysis means going back over our prior trades and seeing what worked, what didn't. Did we make some sort of error? How can we improve? How can we evolve? So in doing that, you're able to see, you're able to answer those questions. What went right? What went wrong? You're able to see if you're staying on process. So if you have a clearly defined setup, right? This is something that we've been reviewing with our members quite a bit lately. Uh, if you have a clearly defined setup, and by clearly defined setup, I mean you know how long your setup should be. Like, so is it how many weeks is it? How many days is it? What's the proper depth of this setup? What's the look and feel, the character of it? Is it should it be U-shaped? Should it be trading sideways? Should the volatility within it be contracting over a certain period of time? Where is it in relation to general market or trends or moving averages or whatever it is that you look for? Have a very clearly defined setup, and then from there, you're able to see from the setups that I took, does it match the definition? Yes or no? That will tell you if you're on track. That's something that will tell you if uh, you've been following your process. Maybe you find that you haven't been following your process. Maybe you find that you've been deviating a little bit, and then that tells you that, okay, I need to focus on process and just execute this strategy over and over and over again. And then it's going to work out. And how do you know that it's going to work out? Well, you would have your tests that you ran. You would have other analysis that you've done where you've studied other people that have already had success. None of us need to start from scratch. We could study other people that have had success, learn their systems, adapt them for us. That's what I did. And you could see from there if you're on process or not. Okay. Let's see if there's any other questions. We're at the half an hour mark, so we'll take one more question. A few people in here saying the Lord is good. The Lord is good. The more that I've built a personal relationship with God, the better life has gotten. I like to think of God and religion, and we'll think of it here. I've started to really read the Bible and listen to the Bible and start to interpret it. Uh, not interpret it, but to try to understand lessons within it. And I look at the Bible, I look at religion as handbooks for life. So in going through, and I'm not going to pretend that I'm a religious scholar, but when I look at and pray and think about religion, when I think about God, I think that there is a certain hierarchy, uh, and the a certain personal hierarchy. So if you were to picture, say, a triangle or a pyramid with different layers in it, at the top, oh, Siri trying to give answers. I'm not interested in what Siri has to say. Anyhow, so at the top is God. And whether you are uh, a Christian, Catholic, a Jew, Muslim, whether you are atheist, agnostic, whether you're Hindu or a different religion, there's always going to be something in that top of the pyramid, that God is our focus. So, eh, if you, well, let's say that you're an atheist, you say that you don't believe in God, or maybe you're non-practicing or whatever. There's always going to be something in that God category. Sometimes that God category might be money. Sometimes it might be the something hedonistic. Sometimes it might be something very good, but you're not calling it God. But there's always going to be something in that top category that's guiding us. Whatever is guiding us, that's what I think of as God. So if there's always going to be something in that top of the pyramid that's going to be that guide, I want it to be something that is benevolent, something that is going to help serve me uh, and community. Right, there's something that's going to produce a great life. Great. So I'm approaching religion and the Bible from that perspective. So as I go and I read it and I learn more, I try to think about, well, how can I start to become a better person? Right. What's going to, because there's God, then there's self, then I think that there's family, and then others. So the way that I'm going to be the best version of myself that where I'm going to be able to do my best. God wants the best for me, so I could then be beneficial for others around me, for my family, for my community, for you guys here. How am I going to be the best version of me so that way I could help everybody else? Well, if I'm disciplined and I take care of my health, if I study, if I learn well, and become a better member of the community, then I'm able to help my family and I'm able to help more people. And if I'm helping more people, that's going to feel good, right? There's going to be plenty of benefits for when we help others. So if we're looking at lead towards a better life, and it's I'm not trying to preach. I'm simply trying to share my personal experiences and what has worked for me and currently is working for me. So that's it. I think we'll leave it there. I'll quickly check to see if there's any other questions or comments that came in about that, and then we'll wrap things up. All right, so we will end it here. I want to say thank you guys for tuning in today. Appreciate it. We'll take some more questions for next week. If you have additional questions for me, you could go and put it into marrowwealth.com. There's a contact form on Marrow Wealth and a bunch of other free information. Go there, check it out. Send in your questions. We'll have another show like this next week. And have a great weekend. Stay safe out there, everybody. Take care. Much love. Peace out.